Hello and welcome back. In this video, I will show you how to create a class library and then refactor it into classes from our web API that can be shared with other front-end stacks such as Xamarin, Blazor, WPF, UWP, ASP.NET Web, or Razor Pages. The whole idea is we don't need to generate C# classes from the JSON response that the API produces using a JSON to C# converter every time we need to build client applications. We can just add the class library to the client project we want to build. In addition, we will see why having unit tests in our application adds value to our application architecture. So the web API that we have built so far has client models and entities. So these are the classes that we can refactor into our class library. So before doing that, let us jump into our test explorer and run all unit tests to ensure that our application was running fine before refactoring. So we just give it a moment to do its thing, and we have 13 tests parsed. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is let's create a new project and let's call it class library.net standard. Let's hit next. So let's name it car garage core, and we are going to place this to, we're going to add it to our solution. Create, and here it is at the bottom of our solution explorer. So let's delete the existing class. Okay, then let's copy the client models folder and the entities folder. So let's copy this class into a new class library. Let's paste it here, and here they are. Okay, so next up, let us just open all these files. Alright, great. Now, the thing to note is that these namespaces still point to the application we copied the classes from. So what we want to do is first resolve the namespaces, and to do so, we just press Ctrl period on our keyboard, or let's give IntelliSense a minute to resolve its IntelliSense. So let's press Ctrl period, and here it is, install package. Okay, so find and install the latest version. That will go ahead and pull the latest version from NuGet. Next, let us resolve the required attribute. Once again, install package. Okay, that is good. Okay, so this goes ahead and pulls in packages into our dependencies, and here are the packages that have been automatically pulled when we press Control period. Next thing, let us correct the namespace. Remember, the containing folder in our class library is now client models within the namespace car garage core. So I'll just click here once and copy this namespace, and now let us come to the API and press Ctrl H on our keyboard, and let's paste that. So we want to replace API with car garage core in all open documents, and these are the open documents in our application up here in the Windows. Okay, so we make sure we replace all, and we expect 6 replacements. Okay, so there are 6 occurrences replaced, and that's correct. So we say okay, and that should have resolved. So let's save all the documents. Now what we want to do is build this library. So I right click and say build, and as you can see on the bottom left corner of your screen, build succeeded. Okay, we can close all these documents, and the next thing to do is let's add a reference to this project. Okay, so add project reference, and so we select car garage core and say okay. Once we do that, now we can disable, okay, just remove the existing models that we've copied over to our class library, that is the client models and the entities. Select the two, right click and say exclude from projects. Now this just disables those folders. It doesn't entirely take them away from our project. We can click on show all files. We can see they still exist in our project over here as disabled folders. Okay, so let me just toggle this back on. Alright, now we have definitely broken a lot of stuff, because remember, our existing classes reference the classes from the files we've just disabled. Okay, so if we open these classes once again, I should include startup. Okay, So we have several breakages. Now the namespace does not exist. API entities in startup, in images controller, in the cars controller. Let's look at the namespace once again. We have two namespaces that don't exist anymore. So to resolve this, we must bring in the names. We must remove the namespaces, and as well, you can see our references no longer work. Okay. So starting with the car context, let's remove the namespace that we don't need anymore. And in order to resolve car, let's just click on it and press Ctrl period on your keyboard and say using Car Garage Core. Okay, so that is sorted. Next up, the DB initializer. Once again, let us remove the namespaces we don't need and let us resolve the car entity from the library that we have just referenced. Next up, and let's save this. Next up is startup. Once again, we do the same thing. And what else? Over here in our scroll bar, there's a hint that there's an error on this particular line. Let's go to it. And we want to use Car Garage Core entities. Let's save this. And now over to the cars controller. Once again, we do the same thing. Okay, take a note in the scroll bar. We have several corrections to still do. Okay, so once again, let's just bring in, and everything looks good, no errors in the scroll bar. Let's save this and over to the images controller. Same thing here. Let's remove the unnecessary namespace and resolve the car entity by bringing in, oops, we cancel this. Let's do it one more time. Control period. Yes, that's what we want. And yes, that is good. Now, I think that should be fine. Let's check it once again. Yes, our scroll bar doesn't indicate any errors. Alright, now, having done that, we have definitely broken our unit test. So let's jump over to our unit test project right here and let's open up our tests. Remember, our tests were dependent on the class, in the folders we just we disabled. Okay, so let's open these guys up and just give it a moment for IntelliSense to detect the breakages. Here it is, the first breakages. As you can see, we have errors in our scroll bars up here and down here, line number 31, and in the cars controller there are several breakages. DB initializer test and the cache key test. Okay, so starting with the DB initializer test, let us just remove the unnecessary namespaces and resolve. Now watch this. Visual Studio automatically detects that we need to bring in the Car Garage Core entities namespace, which will accept. Okay, that goes away. Next, cache key test. Once again, let's do the same thing. Let's bring in using Car Garage Core entities. And one more error according to the scroll bar. The car model. This is in a different namespace. Client model namespace, I should say. Alright, so that looks good. Let me just save these. Now let's go to the cars controller test. Several errors, I think, from the post. Let's just have a look at the post. Yes, right here. Oops, let's sort out the namespaces here first. So we remove unnecessary usings. Resolve the new namespace. Let's resolve these two. And from the scroll bar, there are no errors indicated. So I'll save this. And over in the images controller, we just have a couple of errors. Move the namespace we don't need anymore and resolve the car entity. Okay, so that looks good so far. So let's save everything and let's jump back to our test explorer. And so run this test one more time. Great, and we have a pass. Okay, and that's the value of having unit tests in our applications. We don't need to go back to the application and run it like we've been doing in the previous videos. But for the classic way of testing, if you just want to check that it runs, you can try that, but it is not necessary. So I'll just go ahead and run the application just for argument's sake and see if everything still runs okay. So that goes ahead and fires up our browser. And there we go. I'm not going to go ahead and do our tests because we have unit tests, and that's the purpose and value of having unit tests in our application. And so there you go. That's how to refactor your code. And so moving forward, we can create a new, say, ASP .NET Core web application and now reference this class library Car Garage Core. Okay, so that is it. So in the next tutorial, we're gonna see how we can package this into a NuGet package. Okay, how we can make this Car Garage Core into a NuGet package, so that if we need to build an application and not reference this same solution, we can go ahead independent of this particular solution, Car Garage 7. Let me just go ahead and delete this unit test 1. We don't need it anymore. And having said and done all that, we are done with this particular project. So I will see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.